Sup, Nibbles? J-Dawg back with another goddamn fucking interview. And today we got another Detroit fucking metalist. Goddamn Mike from Temple of Void, Asowich, Nuke. What else you do?
Got a couple things in the work right now. Nothing concrete, but yeah, I'd say about those three are the three main active ones right now. Yeah.
And Nuke's doing stuff again then?
Yeah, we started jamming. We got a couple different lineup changes. I don't know if you talk. I know you talked to Shagrat. Yeah, I don't know if you talked about it at all.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah.
We've been having him jam with us. We've been having my longtime friend Vic jam with us too. You know, because I mean Dick's doing Spider now and all that other stuff. You know, so yeah, we just kind of been keeping it local with the same guys, kind of coming back. A lot of old school Reaper vibes. I don't know if you remember Reaper, you know, and all that sort of stuff.
I know that. No, I don't think so. I don't think I've heard it.
Tim's band before like doing the Shitfucker. There's a Fode comp that came out a while ago that's got like Shitfucker, Reaper, Perversion, and Anguish, which were like kind of like the main four like metal punk bands that kind of came out from this Detroit scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been kind of jamming, bringing Tim back in. We had Aaron in there. We got Pete still. You know, we've just been jamming. Like I said, Tim. We got Vic coming in now doing guitar stuff too. So, and that's cool. And Vic and I were in a band a long time ago called Borrow Time, and we were in a band called Harbinger for a while. So like we already have a lot of like miles that we've done together. We don't playing guitar and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. We got a pretty good dynamic between the two of us.
Yeah, I talked to Chase about I wanted Hells to do the Nuke demo on like vinyl. I think that'd be cool, right?
That would be cool. Yeah, that'd be actually really cool. Yeah,
because that's the same. I wanted to do that because I told, and Dick was up for it. He's supposed to lay it out. As I told him, I wanted to do the Spider demo on like a 7-inch. The Nuke demo, I think I'd have to be a 12-inch though, because it's like 16 minutes. I think.
I was gonna say it's about 5 songs.
Yeah, it'd be like a 12-inch maxi. But I think that because I love when demos come out on vinyl, personally.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
you know, that's the kind of shit I like to collect, and that demo's awesome.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of stuff. A lot of guys that'll do like demo reissues and stuff like that, like that Black Mass demo or that Cemetery demo or anything like that, or that the good Glacier shit, which is like the demos.
Yeah.
No, that would be cool. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, all right. Well, so he knows because he said he was up for it. I forget what he was waiting on. At the time I asked. He had somewhere, he's like, he's like, well, let's wait for X, Y, and Z. I forget what it was. This is about 6 to 8 months ago I brought it up to him.
Oh, okay.
He's like, but he was into the idea too,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just, we'll all coordinate. We'll make it happen. That'd be fun.
Because we're sold out of the LPs and CDs of the Nuke album. I mean, I know we got like a return pack or something, and there was a few copies, so maybe if you're curious to check out Nuke, which I love Nuke, dude. I thought that was just such a fun listen, and the whole RoboCop fucking thing, Nuke.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought it was a jammer.
Yeah, Nuke. Yeah, I was going to say, Nuke's always fun for me because I get to play guitar, but I get to be a bit obnoxious with it. So it's kind of nice, you know, you get to do like a bunch of stupid whammy shit, gratuitous whammy solos and like dive bombs and like other things like that. So Nuke's always been fun for me. Like that's close to my heart because I get to actually play, you know.
Who came up with the name?
I want to say I was actually the last dude to join that band.
Okay.
It was already in place. I don't know which one of them actually technically came up with the name, but I know it's always been like very like RoboCop 2 centric. Like, oh man, it's Delta City, Detroit. Like we gotta, you know, it's just like a given with it. So I want to say either Aaron Redbeard did it, or it was probably either like Tony or Dick.
Okay.
You know.
And now, so Temple of Void, that's like your main bread and butter, isn't it?
I don't know. I feel like I do more live stuff with Asowich. Temple of Void's probably on the biggest label. I mean, we did the Relapse record not that long ago, but I was going to say we're not like the most active out of the bands. I feel like I do way more live stuff with Asowich.
What's the reason you're not pushing Temple more, especially since on Relapse? I'm surprised they didn't like almost require you to.
It's hard. It's hard because, I mean, at this point, like I'm 40 now, and I'm actually the youngest guy in the band.
Oh, okay. I know that. Okay.
And everybody in the band at this point has careers. Yeah. So it's kind of like one of those where like touring it's got to be something that we can all coordinate, and that makes it hard to do. And I teach, so like I have a bit more of a flexibility thing. I've got summers off. I got like a winter break, midwinter break, spring break. Like there's things that you can coordinate it around. Whereas like some of the other guys, like we got a guy in the band who's a nurse. We got a guy, you know, he's a gastroenterology nurse. We got another guy that works for like Bosch. And, so it's hard to like coordinate a lot of the time off on
successful guys.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where it's good for me as somebody who plays you know, because I'm at the point now where it's like, I've always had a job, I've always worked, I've always had to like, you know, I've always had to kind of throw that stuff together. So it's kind of nice that we have, what was that? I teach secondary and post-secondary special education. Actually, it is what it is. You could get into it. It's its own stuff. It's a cool job. I like it, and it gives me some freedom to play heavy metal. You know, so that's cool. I definitely don't mind that aspect of it. But where were we going with this? Sorry.
Well, this guy's not being brought about. So, like, you would describe Temple of Void as like a death doom band, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was actually the last one to join that band too. So like when they had called me up, they were looking for a singer, and it was actually kind of funny because I was like, well, I play guitar primarily, but I'll give it a shot. You know, like I kind of knew Eric, who was the guitar player, but I didn't really know like the rest of the dudes. And since then, we've all forged like a friendship. Like we've been a band for over 10 years now. You know, and it's a good working thing. Like we all understand like, if I can't get the time off, or one of the, I just bumped the mic. If I can't get the time off, or like one of the other guys can't get the time off, that's just, it is what it is. You know,
Yeah.
We've had to turn down some cool shit, but we've also had the opportunity to do some good shit when like the planets all align. You know.
Yeah. So when you got approached by Relapse Records, we were like, oh shit, like.
We got approached by them, and we got approached by another label, and it was like a back and forth between what did we want to do, and Relapse was just. When we did them side by side, it was the better contract.
Okay.
It was one less album, you know, to have on like, you know,
contracts,
less points to have to deal with. It was, you know, a little bit bigger advance. You know, I don't the details with it, but all in all, when we put them side by side, we were like, Relapse is a better. I used to be a dork. I used to post on like the Relapse Records and the Metal Maniacs board. Like back in the day, like you know, we're talking like 2002, 2003. Like,
yeah, you agree. Relapse back in the day, their catalog was pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so many things like that. I got turned on with that. Like, I mean, Luck of the Corpse. Yeah. Like, I mean, even in that era too, it was like kind of weird. It was a lot of like weird shit, like Human Remains and Luddite Clone, and like weird stuff that was like a little bit more like techie and mathy even. But like the early like core Relapse stuff, like all the like grind and the death metal stuff, and I mean, like that stuff, yeah, that was huge influence on me growing up.
Because, yeah, you mentioned Luck of the Corpse. I mean, is it just me, or do you kind of agree when you meet, like, these newer metalists? And I understand you're not going to hear everything in the first year or two, but, you know, they've been in metal for years. Maybe they're young, maybe in the 20s, whatever, and they don't even know a band like Deceased. Aren't you kind of just like, what?
It's hard to know everything, especially with shit being so oversaturated right now. We were kind of talking about that last, when we were kind of waxing last night or whatever. It's like, it's very oversaturated right now, and you've got a whole new generation that's growing up with like a whole new generation of bands and things like that. Yeah, it's weird that you don't know, because like to someone like me growing up in our era, it was like, you know, these guys are like a legendary band.
Yeah.
Like I remember Supernatural Addiction was like one of the
amazing.
And, dude, I was like, this album is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I can understand where it's like there's so much shit out there that you may not get to it, because there's still shit that like, you know, I know where I'm like, man, I probably should know this, but I haven't checked it out because I'm a big physical format guy too.
Yeah,
so it's like I still, even at my age, it's like I don't have that natural inclination to go like, well, I'm gonna look this up on YouTube, and I don't have fucking Spotify. I don't do like
I don't either.
Any of that shit. So
you agree, a real metalist buys the fucking actual format, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're enthusiastic about this and you're into it, like you buy it, like a CD, a cassette, a vinyl, something.
Yeah, and I'm a big advocate of things like deep listening too. Like I really feel like an album as like a full art like statement, or like a full like, you know, artistic format is the best. Like if I'm gonna listen to a record, like one of my favorite things to do is to look at the art while I listen to it, to read the liner notes, read the lyrics, like look at it. Who wrote this song in the band? Who did this? Who did that? You know, like pick up these sort of like dynamics of it. And really that's kind of something that you miss out a lot with, I think with just the internet. That's kind of a bad, you know, part of the double-edged sword. You have the convenience and the availability of a lot of stuff, but like you also don't have that like organic connection to something, like especially an LP where, I mean, you're looking at a 12 by 12 box, and it's like you can see the art, you can see the detail, you can see the brush strokes of the painting or whatever it is. Like that kind of stuff to me is super important. It actually, with everything, like even with Acid Witch, with Temple of Void, all that sort of stuff, like we've made it a strong point to always get like artists that we like or artists, you know, that we want for it, that will encapsulate the vibe of like whatever we've done. Like Acid Witch is super lucky because Tim does the art, you know?
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
And to have everything in-house like that is super cool. Temple of Void, it's a little bit different. A lot of times we end up going with like the guys that like Alex wants, because Alex is more into that. I'm kind of like an old dude. I just want to riff, you know? I want to riff and I want to play music and I want to whatever. And I don't really pay attention to a lot of like contemporary stuff as much as I would like to these days. But, you know, I mean, we're also at a point, like I said, you know, you're working, you're playing, you're digging, you're doing, you know, it's like, I do what I can. I jam the shit that I have, you know?
Yeah. So as say you brought up the whole aesthetic of an album look, when you see a band and their image on stage or their album, is it for you, as I've talked about many times, like huge turnoff when you see the guys like, look, you don't got to be completely covered in spikes and nails and fucking corpse paint and all that, but I mean, you should at least, I should look at your photo or you on stage and be like, okay, these guys listen to metal. Do you agree that that's or some people, who cares, bro? I'm like, but dude, if you look like you're going to play basketball and you're on stage, I'm sorry, that's kind of fucking gay.
If it's undeniably good, like, I don't care what you fucking look like.
I agree. I like Dying Fetus, for fuck's sakes. And those, granted, those guys, they get more of a bad rep. I'm like, the guys themselves don't look that bad. I would cut the shorts on stage, but they ain't, well, I guess John is wearing a ball cap, but they're not, I've seen worse.
Yeah.
But, you know, I agree. The music does come first, and there's stuff I like where I wouldn't do that. But it is kind of a turnoff.
Oh, yeah.
For me. I mean, if somebody like, who cares, bro? I'm like, because it's supposed to be a show. It's supposed to be like, you should at least look like you listen to goddamn metal.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, it's like, metal is a weird thing, too, because it's very insular, and it's very, like, I feel like there's a lot of people that, like, metal fandom, and actually, we kind of came along with that with Temple of Void. Like, we signed a Relapse, and there's always going to be people that are like, hey, now, like, wait, you know, and it's like, there's, like, a weird thing about it, because, like, I feel like metal is such a grassroots thing, and it is such a, kind of a DIY thing for a lot, like, people will hold like a favorite band and they'll be like, this is my favorite band and I don't want it to change and I don't want it to do anything. And that is cool. There are bands that'll do that. Like Bolt Thrower has maintained consistency pretty much throughout their career until they finally called it quits, you know? Even those once loyal, as groovy as it is, it's still a Bolt Thrower record. It still sounds like, you know, Bolt Thrower. And it's like some bands can pull it off, other bands expand, like Paradise Lost, who is a huge influence on us and things like that. And some people have a hard time with that, like, but I don't know. I feel like it's hard to do like an about face. I feel like a lot of people that are going to look at something like an about face, it's going to be almost like a betrayal to them, because it's like, dude, you're my band. I hold you, you know, near and dear to me.
Yeah.
This is what this is. You guys are supposed to be heavy. You're supposed to be this. And the next thing you know, you're wearing like a dashiki and a tie-dye shirt, and you know, or, you know, something like that. And I understand it. It's like, visual aesthetics to me is kind of secondary.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to deny that it doesn't play a role.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to deny that it doesn't like come into your head where it's like, okay, this is how people are going to perceive you. Because let's face it, we had already talked about it being like super oversaturated. There's so much stuff in there that people don't want to waste their time.
Yeah, why would they draw you in? Yeah.
And a lot of people will write you off just based on superficial elements like that. Like they'll look at that and they'll be like,
but at the same time, you almost kind of need to, because there is so much to check out.
Yes, exactly. And that's the hard thing, where it comes between like a weird thing where it's like, do you just want to be yourself, or do you want to pander to like what you think people want or whatever? I don't know. I'm kind of at the point now where I'm just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do whatever I got and whatever I want to do, and I'm just grateful that this age.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't
music.
even have to think about, like, for example, you just walk in, you got a goddamn Grotesque shirt on. Right, that's just alone. I'm like, all right, this guy knows what's up.
Oh, yeah, dude.
In my mind, I just
Al Svensson is my dude. He's like my favorite riff writer in death metal.
Do you agree on my take is, I think Grotesque, in the Embrace of Evil, I think that sends the entire At the Gates catalog home on a stretcher.
I do love early At the Gates, but I will say I love this record a lot. This is actually like one of the first. It was really funny because like I had bought the Century Media put out. It was like the At the Gates, you know, like the demo, Gardens of Grief. Like,
the 2
It was that with the Grotesque, and I remember like listening to it, and I remember the At the Gates stuff at that time, because I was like, that was 99, something like that. I was like a kid, and I was just like, man, this is really hard to wrap my head around and all that. But the Grotesque stuff was a little bit more accessible for me. And then like later on learning, I'm like, oh my God, it's Thomas on vocals. It's fucking Necrolord. It's fucking, you know, Al Svensson. You know, like once you kind of get like a better idea of like everything and like the history and the culture behind that sort of stuff. Yeah. And yeah, that still stands as like, dude, I love this shit.
Yeah, same here. Because I've always referred to that Because when I bought first, I heard Grotesque before out the gates. It was the digipack version. I forget, but it's the In the Embrace of Evil and the other, what was the other EP or demo, whatever. Where it's for years I just thought it was an album because it's like 12 tracks.
Yeah, it's everything put together.
Yeah,
but In the Embrace of Evil, I think
it's like 5 songs. Yeah, but it's like the CD I had was like 10 or 12 songs, and I just always considered an album. I'm like, this shit's fucking amazing. And when I heard out the gates, I'm like, I just thought it was watered down. Now I will say this, I like the album that seems like, well, at least at the time, everybody hated it, but they like it now. Was Slaughter the Soul. Yeah. I just thought it was a good like death thrash album. But I know that's like their commercial record. Yeah. Because the first album, Grant, I should go back and listen to them. Was As the Blood Rains Red or what the fuck?
Red in the Sky is ours.
I just remember when I heard it, I'm like, I'm fucking bored. That's what I remember. But it's been
I really like Red in the Sky is ours. I like With Fear I Kiss the Burning Darkness, and I actually really like the Terminal Spirit Disease. I liked Slaughter the Soul. I still do like it. But I couldn't tell you the last time that I actually spun it. Not being like cool contrarian guy or anything like that. But it is, like you said, it's a bit more accessible. Like I said, Al Svensson is like my dude. I love the fact that like his riffs are really unhinged. I remember watching all that shit about him like taking tapes and respooling them backwards and like listening and just like that sort of like weird like creative brain, or like that Oxyplugots album. I don't know if you're familiar with like, he's got I think 3 records under Oxyplugots right now, but like. But yeah, like that shit is like really bizarre, kind of spaced out, kind of technical. He's got like his wife doing vocals on like Sidereal Journey. It's bizarre, and I appreciate dudes that are on their own wavelength. You know, I mean, and that's kind of one of the things where it's like I feel like when you lost him as a riff writer, and it just kind of became like the Broiler Brothers. You hear the Haunted albums and you're like, okay, I get it. This is the natural progression where we went, you know? But like those early At the Gates albums, I think are some of my favorite death metal records.
Yeah, I should go back and listen.
Because I don't think anybody really sounds like it, unless you count like bands like Eucharist, who are kind of like second generation, you know, like that kind of shit. And like all the Gothenburg shit that came after like the Slaughter of the Soul stuff. You know? Yeah.
Well, going to Acid Witch then. What year did you join Acid Witch?
I have been in Acid Witch. I joined at the end of 2009. Tim and I lived together in Lansing when that shit was getting recorded, and I remember kind of being privy to like the shit. Like he was showing me the demo stuff, and like he was painting the stuff like in his bedroom when we all there. So I got to like see the art in progress of the Witchtanic Hallucinations cover and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, when they decided they wanted to take it live, like Tim kind of reached out and he's like, yo, you want to play guitar? And at that point I was doing, I had just started doing Borrowed Time around that time. And I was also in a band, which was my first band. We were talking about that last night. It wasn't even a metal band. It was like kind of like a sludgy noise rock band called Failed. And I was like, yeah, cool. Like I was a big fan of Razorback at that time. You know, I mean, that was the shit where like Tool got their start back when it was like a bit more like old school Carcass worship and a little less like Anthraxy. And like it was, you know, a lot of weird shit came out on that label that I thought was really cool back then, like that WTN, Rotting and Pestilence, and like I don't know, I liked all that Maniac Neil shit at the time, and you know, and I'm a horror nerd too, you know, fucking thing.
Do you like the band Frightmare?
Yeah, I like Frightmare.
Yeah. So we're supposed to put those both out on vinyl or issues.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've like jammed that kind of stuff, like that stuff in particular. But yeah, I mean, I still got that stuff. I'll probably never sell it. You know? It's still in the vaults of the crypt.
Right. Yeah. So on Acid Witch, one thing I really like about the band is each record. It's a band that didn't change their style, but every album sounds different from each other.
Yes, it's definitely a band that's kind of expanded a bit on everything. I feel like Dave has kind of taken, I mean, he's always kind of had the production stuff, but I feel like with every album, it's getting a bit better. It's getting, you know, I mean, because all that stuff, you're a learning process, you know, everything's going to be like developing. So I feel like as a band, everybody's growing as artists, everybody's growing as like, you know, in his case, as like a producer, you know, I mean, like the art, everything. And the good thing is that everything is in-house with the band. Yeah. So there's no like outside influence, and there's no like bro with like a cigar sitting on, you know, on Instagram being like, listen to this guy, you know, with like a split screen, like being like, no, man, if you really want to get your Spotify, you know, it's like everything's really insular. And that's the one thing is, like I said, I'm 40 years old now. Tim's older than I am. We're all kind of like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, we're making music because we want to make music, and we're doing this shit because we like doing it. You know what I mean? Like and we've been lucky enough that we've gotten able to do things where we could do cool tours and we could do festival circuit stuff, and we could do the things on our own terms, which is very cool. And that's that. Incentive aside from the fact that these guys are, some of my closest friends for at this point over decades. It's easy. Like that band is the easiest band to get along with in the tour band. We're all artists in our own right. So it's easy to talk about shit, and everybody kind of gets each other, so we can joke. So it's easy to keep it going. And as far as like the sound and everything like that, it's just a culmination of everybody's got different influences, and everybody's kind of putting stuff together. And I don't know. It's a cool band to be in. I foresee doing it as long as I can, What
was a band? I remember when that Rich Tanner came out. I mean, it immediately blew up.
Yeah.
I know, as we were selling it and shit, and then we signed them for Stone came out.
Yeah.
And for a while, Stone was the top selling record on Hell's.
Really?
Until the only one that outsold it. It probably is the second top selling on Hell's to date. Up till the one that did outdo it was Satanic Royalty by midnight.
Oh yeah.
But Stone was like, dude, it was flies on shit. So having said that, like when you guys still do shows wherever, whether it be overseas, here, is the turnouts are they always very good?
Actually, I've really rarely been disappointed when we go out and we gig. I mean, that's another really incentivized thing with it. Like people seem to really like it, and like I said, you're never going to pander to like what people want per se. But like when people like you and they respect what you do, they're going to support you. And if you have like a following like that, I feel like people are less. They're gonna kind of stick to the legacy. They're gonna like not jump off the bandwagon unless you release like Roots or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like where it's something where it is really just like a major curveball that people can't wrap their head around.
Yeah, because some people were kind of pissing and moaning a little bit about Evil Sound Screamers.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand. I was like, the aesthetic of it looks a little different with the logo and shit in the cover. I was like, and it was a little different, but I was like, I don't know. I really still enjoy it. I think it's still really a fun, awesome record.
Oh yeah, no, I got to contribute some cool shit to that record. Actually, I hold that pretty near and dear on mine. In my own heart on it. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like nobody's gonna ever like everything that you do. You're never gonna make anybody happy. That was a lesson I had to learn in life. Like you can't make everybody happy. So just do what the fuck you want. Like if you're an artist and you want to make art that resonates with you, and I mean if you're like a legitimate person and you're not just like a fair weather person where like if you like metal and you like metal legitimately and you've been into metal, I mean it's kind of one of those things where like a discerning ear doesn't come immediately. Like it's something that takes time.
Yeah. It's
something that takes development. It's something that takes true fandom and true nerddom into it, if you will. And that's kind of one of the things where it's like with that kind of stuff, I'm going to say everything that the band has done has been pretty true to who we are as people. And I'll say that about pretty much any music that I've done. Like I'm pretty proud of everything that I've done. It may not be this guy's bag, or it may not be this person's bag, or it may not be whatever, but at the end of the day, it was something that was creatively satisfying for me to do.
I asked Shagrat then, out of like, what is your personal, just that what you like the most? What is your favorite Acid Witch record?
I'm a Witch-Tanic guy.
Okay.
I like the old shit. I didn't play on it, but like, what I mean? That was what they were doing, at that point. I was watching it come to fruition.
I'm a Stone guy, yeah.
Yeah, I like Stone too, but Witch-Tanic to me has that, like, every song has like a corny witch thing. It's got like a bit more of like a weird Autopsy vibe to it. It's got, it's just nasty. It's a nasty record, and I like the nastiness about it,
Yeah. Now, of all things that you've done then, that you played on, what is the thing you're most proud of?
Evil Sound Screamers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Temple Avoid everything.
Oh,
your entire catalog. What's
everything that I've been on. That's going to be
if you're like, I'm real proud of this, like whether it's sold good or not, like where you're like, what's your, like, holy shit, I'm really happy about this.
It's going to be a toss-up. I'd probably say Evil Sound Screamers, or I don't know. There's actually, I'm going to go on a curveball on this. I did a 7-inch with a band called Borrowed Time called Fog in the Valley. And those are two of probably my favorite, because I actually do my favorite shit. I love prog rock. I love like heavy 60s, 70s jam shit. and I love like old school metal, like traditional metal, 80s shit, new wave British heavy metal, like Swedish fucking heavy metal. I love fucking early speed metal shit, like anything that could kind of incorporate like an archaic, like old sound.
So you like Heavy Load from Sweden?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's awesome.
I like the first album too.
Yeah.
I like the fucking rock.
Yeah, some people like that one is not. That's not. But the second and third is what I like a lot. Yeah.
No, I like all the Heavy Load stuff, but I definitely like.
Did you listen to the Comeback record? I have.
No, I haven't. Vic's got a bunch of box set stuff. We did the Dystopian Dogs thing.
I was on the fence. I was like,
I didn't grab one. I just either financially at the time or I just busy doing other shit, and I kind of miss my staking of a claim. Like, yo, save me one of those.
Well, because for me, it's another. I don't know how much you watch the channel, but I call them the "We're Back" bands. Every time I'm like, because it's like usually they let you down. Mm-hmm. But there's exceptions, like when Pentagram Chili did that debut album.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was great. And when Possessed did that new record, when it came out, I'm like, this is gonna blow. I was like, whatever. I'll listen to it. I'm like, oh shit, I think it's actually pretty fucking good. Yeah, so there's exceptions. So maybe the Heavy Load will be that. Yeah.
Some bands can do it, and that's kind of one of the things where it's like some bands really recognize it's like, okay, I know what people want to hear, and I know what I want to do, and I can find a middle ground on that. Even though I'm like X amount of albums deep into doing a band, like I can at least find that middle ground in there.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And some bands can pull it off. Other bands will do it, and they'll it'll be like, hey, I'm coming in and here's my heyday 20 years ago, and I'm really into this new like aesthetic sound where every fucking metal album sounds the same because it's the same fucking goddamn VST like plugins. It's the same, same drum samples taken from it's the same drum pack, and just kind of thing where it's like you lose some of that magic with it, I guess.
Yeah. So what are you currently working on now then? Like that's be upcoming, like would be whatever recordings with bands. Like what are you working on most? That'd probably be the next thing in line to come out that you would play on.
I sent Dave some ideas. Phil and I jammed a couple times and we sent some stuff. I'm currently writing with the new Temple album. We're trying to do the sophomore album on Relapse, and we're kind of working through that. We're about maybe like 5-6 songs in, and we're slated to maybe record around January.
Okay, so that's probably the most closest to.
Yeah, that's probably the closest. Nuke's been jamming. I mean, but a lot of the songs, were written prior to the pandemic. We're talking like 2017 to 2019.
So you have songs that are done.
Yeah, and at this point, we've been kind of acclimating everybody to like the new stuff, and also trying to kind of slowly bring in like new stuff with everybody as kind of like a contributing writer with who we're jamming with now. So we got that going on, and that's kind of wrapping up right now. And I'm doing another project that's a little bit more like kind of like a 70s rock, sort of prog, heavy 70s, early, like I said, like new wave British heavy metal kind of thing. That's just sort of like my thing. It's sort of like my own, like I don't really give a fuck if people like it or not. I'm doing it because I want to do it, you know? Yeah. And I've been jamming a couple other things, like doing another.
Right from the camera. Thanks, buddy.
It's Preston. He's cool. He's royalty around here. He's the absolute royalty.
A video's not complete unless someone does.
Yeah, that's how you got to do it. I'd rather it be him than some other guy that I'd be actually mad at.
Some motherfucking canoe, huh?
But no, doing that. I'm doing another thing that's kind of like a death metal thing. It started off as kind of wanting to do like a early necrophobic or like a unanimated or something like that, but it kind of developed into like more of a like harmony corruption, defecation, sort of like terrorizer world downfall thing. So I've been doing that.
Switch.
Yeah, whatever. It was kind of just like an open-ended thing, and kind of that's where we fell on it. But it's been cool because it's been getting my chops back up. Yeah. I've been playing Death Doom for so long, I can't fucking play as fast as I used to.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been kind of nice. I've been able to do that and get my chops back up. But yeah, we've been I've been fucking trucking away doing band practice like 4 times a week, 5 times a week between everything.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm a sleepy boy sometimes.
Yeah. All right, was there anything else you want to shout out or?
No, man. Just thanks for having me on this. This is pretty cool. I appreciate being on the channel.
Yep. Here we go. One last guy.
Here it is.
Yep. Oh,
and there
right
it is.
There. Fuck yeah.
Mr. Logan.
Right in front. Yeah. Can't finish with that.
Look at that.
Now we have to bounce.
No, we don't have to bounce these guys.
He's a lot of shit to say.
I'll let it pass.
All right. Well, if you got nothing else to say, then that's it. Then.
No, we're good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Later, goddammit.
Later.